My name is Laurel Duval. I'm 32, and I grew up in one of those picture-perfect homes tucked beneath the moss-draped oaks of Savannah, Georgia. My parents, Grayson and Colleen, always talked about legacy, how appearances meant everything, and how Evelyn, my older sister, was the diamond they polished for the world to admire. I was the quiet one, the planner, the fixer, always the backup, never the favorite. For years, I told myself it didn't matter. I had my own apartment, a stable job, and a gold credit card I barely used. But that illusion shattered the night I walked into our family estate and found strangers sipping champagne under chandeliers I hadn't approved, at a party I didn't throw, funded by my money. That was the moment I realized my family hadn't just crossed a line. They'd erased it. The front door was wide open. Laughter spilled out like wine from an uncorked bottle. Music pounded, a live string quartet on the front lawn. My heels clicked against the brick path like gunshots. Inside, floral centerpieces, gold-trimmed napkins, tables glowing under crystal chandeliers. A woman in a silk dress clinked glasses with Evelyn, who wore Dior and looked like she was born in it. "Welcome, darling." Colleen spotted me. Her voice was dipped in honey but reeked of rot. "Isn't it divine?" "What is this?" I asked. "A celebration. Evelyn's la fête étoilée." She waved as if it was obvious. She deserves a night like this. The chandelier light caught the rim of a champagne glass. Evelyn turned to me, barely amused. "Loosen up, Laurel. It's just a party." I pulled out my phone. The Amex Gold app opened slow, as if it knew what was coming. Minus $25,000. Pending. Charges stacked like dead leaves. Catering. Lighting. Wardrobe. DJ. "You used my card," I said, breath sharp. "You weren't using it." Evelyn smiled. "You never do." I froze. "You forged my signature." Colleen stepped between us. "Technically I did, but only to raise the limit. And don't be so dramatic. We'll pay it back." "When?" Colleen blinked. Fake sympathy plastered on her Botoxed face. "You're not going to make this ugly, are you?" "I earned that money." "And we gave you life," she snapped. "Stop acting like a martyr." "Every good girl gets punished when she stops being useful," Evelyn said. "You should know that." I walked out. Champagne still on the grass. A child laughed from the lawn. Evelyn's heels clicked behind me, stopped short. "You should be grateful," she said. "You're the boring one. We made you interesting tonight." I didn't answer. I was already dialing. The call went straight to voicemail. I hung up. I didn't sleep. I watched the charges pile up like bones. Next morning, my office was cold and empty. Zoe Kaplan, my only real friend there, slid a coffee toward me. "You look like hell." "My family threw a $25,000 party on my card." She paused. "They what?" "They forged my signature, raised the limit, spent it." Zoe leaned back. "You're not going to let that slide." "No." "Then don't just get mad," she said. "Get smarter." Later that night, back at the apartment, I opened my laptop. One email sat in spam. Subject: check your mailbox. They've done this before. No sender. I left the screen glowing and walked out to the hallway mailbox, hand trembling. Inside was a yellowed manila envelope. No name, just a single word, scrawled in black marker. Records. I carried it in like it might explode. My living room was too quiet. I locked the door. The window latch, slightly unhinged. Had it always been that way? Inside the envelope, photocopies, a notary stamp, signatures I didn't recognize next to mine, a full page headed, change of beneficiary, primary account holder, Laurel Duval. Submitted 2 years ago. Authorized, Colleen Duval. The gold card account wasn't all they'd touched. They had transferred property. They had changed ownership. Without me. Outside, a dog barked. Tires skidded. I backed away from the window. To a future we can't escape, they always said. I just never realized they meant mine. They didn't just steal my money. They erased my name from my own life. The suitcase clicked shut at 3:12 a.m. I didn't pack much, just what mattered. Laptop, flash drives, a hoodie I hadn't worn in months. The envelope labeled records went in last, slid beneath a stack of socks like it might bite. Some exits need silence, not closure. I left the lights on, left the bed made, left the keys on the counter with a note. Don't call. Don't come. The click of the door behind me felt louder than thunder. Cut scene. Your name's Eleanor Watts now. Zoe handed me a prepaid phone, new keys, and a parking sticker. Her expression unreadable. Temporary. 1 month, max. This place is leased under a shell corp I use for side clients. Utilities are clean. Mail gets redirected. I blinked. You've done this before. She grinned. You'd be surprised how many people need a soft vanish. Cut scene. The apartment was clean but cold. Gray walls, black blinds, a single couch, no pictures, a kitchen untouched. I sat in the dark, checked the locks. Twice. A window latch creaked. I moved to it. Locked. Still. That feeling, like someone was outside, breathing with you. People say money reveals who you are. That's wrong. Money reveals who thinks they own you. Next morning, I opened the envelope again. 1 document at a time. Notarized forms. 2 signatures. Mine and Colleen's. Except the one under my name looked off. The L curved too wide. The loop was left-handed. I'm right-handed. Twist. They'd faked my signature before. Zoe appeared with coffee and a jump drive. Pulled partial metadata from your old banking interface. Had to spoof your session tokens. What did you find? She slid into a chair. That party charge? Not the first. I froze. She opened the folder. Lines of transactions appeared. Split payments. Masked vendors. Transfers between internal accounts. Total. I asked. 59,000 over the last 14 months. My hand tightened. They've been bleeding me. Zoe exhaled. Also this. She clicked a file. A scanned PDF loaded. Property title, 48 Mills Hollow Road. Primary, Laurel Duval. What? You own the house. I stood up. No one told you, because they needed a name with good credit. Yours. They moved the house into your name in 2021 to protect it from a foreclosure claim, then just kept using it. I staggered back. Cut scene. I stared at my reflection in the dark TV screen. You're not crazy. You're just the only one who isn't pretending. My voice didn't sound like mine. I pulled the phone out of my pocket, scrolled through photos of the estate, the pool, the marble staircase, Evelyn laughing on the balcony like a queen in exile. The call history showed her number dialed 12 times. All last year. None answered. I hadn't realized how much I still wanted her to care. Night fell. I couldn't sleep. Every creak was a warning. Every shadow a signal. 2:43 a.m. Ping. New message. Unknown number. They think you'll walk away. Don't. I called the number. Straight to voicemail. Then came the knock. 1, 2, 3. I didn't breathe. Who knocks at 2:45 a.m.? I edged toward the peephole. No one. I opened the door an inch. A white envelope lay on the doormat. No handwriting. Just a wax seal. Black. I picked it up, shut the door fast, locked it, latched it. Inside, a photograph. Of me. Asleep. Taken from the window. Below it, typed in bold. We made you. We can unmake you. Cut scene. Change the locks, I said. Zoe blinked. Jesus, what happened? They were here. Who? My mother. My sister. Or someone they hired. This isn't just money anymore. It's war. Her face went pale. Then we hit back. How? Zoe smirked. We don't call cops. We call lawyers. Next morning. Law Office of Redmont and Briar, downtown Savannah. Old building, stained glass windows, receptionist with too much perfume. He came out in suspenders and sadness. "Miss Duval," he said, shaking my hand like he was holding something fragile. "I figured you'd come eventually. You handled the title transfer?" "I did. Your father insisted. Said you agreed." "I didn't." He paused. "Then we have a problem." He walked to his file cabinet, pulled out a folder labeled Duval Family Trust. "This clause," he said, tapping a highlighted line, "if all residents vacate the estate for over 72 hours, full power transfers to the deed holder." "You." My heart skipped. "You mean?" "You have leverage. Real leverage." I stared at the papers. For the first time in years, I felt taller. He leaned in, voice lower. "But you didn't hear that from me. They'd bury me if they knew I told you." I nodded. Truth is a loaded gun. You don't pull the trigger unless you're ready for the fallout. If they wanted war, well, they just handed me the nuke. Rain fell in sheets as I stepped out of Redmont's office. Savannah looked like a painting someone spilled water on. Smudged, suspicious, unforgiving. I didn't go home. I drove straight to the estate. 48 Mills Hollow Road. The house they'd built on my spine. The gates were still open, security light flickering. I pulled the car into the side driveway and cut the engine. My chest tightened. They were inside, laughing, drinking, living on borrowed walls. I walked through the backyard. Mud soaked my sneakers. My fingers curled tighter around the folder from Redmont. My entire leverage. The storm masked my steps. Glass clinked beyond the French doors. Cut scene. I slipped into the kitchen. The house smelled of wine and wood polish. Cameras still installed. I turned one toward the hallway. Zoe had been right. Install first. Strike later. The dining room exploded with noise. Colleen's laughter, Evelyn's shriek. I walked in, soaked, dripping, folder in hand. They froze. "Jesus," Evelyn hissed. "You look like you crawled out of a grave." "I did," I said, dropping the folder on the table. "Yours." Colleen rose. "What is this drama now?" I opened the folder. "Proof. This house, every inch of it is mine. Legally. The title is in my name. You transferred it 2 years ago to dodge foreclosure. And now the clause says, if none of you live here for 72 hours, the estate defaults to me, fully and permanently." They stared. "You're bluffing," Colleen said. "Try me." Cut scene. They followed me to the living room. I stood under the chandelier Evelyn insisted on importing from Italy, the one she billed to my card. "I've had enough," I said. "You can leave quietly or be forced out." "You ungrateful little parasite," Colleen snapped. "No, I was your insurance policy, but the policy just expired." Evelyn laughed, soft and venomous. "You're not strong enough to do this. Strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it signs papers and walks out." I turned to leave. Colleen blocked the door. "You do this, Laurel, and you lose us forever." I stared at her. "You were never mine to lose." Cut scene. 2 days later, Zoe and I sat in her car, parked a block away from the estate. "Think they're still inside?" she asked. "Let's find out." She opened her laptop. Live feeds up. The screen flickered. Camera angle. Kitchen. Empty. Dining room. Empty. Living room. Someone stood by the window. Evelyn. Holding a wine glass. Hair perfect. Eyes red. Then, she threw the glass at the camera. Feed went dead. "They know," Zoe muttered. "Doesn't matter. Time's ticking." 72 hours passed. I filed the transfer documents, sent a formal notice of occupancy change, hired a marshal for supervised removal. Legal. Clean. Final. The next day I came back. Colleen stood outside in a raincoat, her suitcase in one hand. Evelyn pacing nearby, soaked and silent. "You're actually doing this," my mother whispered. I already did. The marshal handed them paperwork. Colleen grabbed it, scanned the first page, then crumpled it. This isn't the end. Maybe not, I said, but it's your exit. Evelyn lunged at me. Zoe stepped in, hand in her coat. Evelyn stopped. You'll regret this, she said. Maybe, but regret doesn't make you less guilty. I turned, walked up the stairs, left them in the rain. Cut scene. Inside, everything was silent. I moved through the house like a stranger reclaiming her body. Old family photos lined the walls. I took them down, dropped them into a cardboard box. At the master bedroom, I paused. On the dresser, a bottle of perfume. Not mine. Still full. Twist. I opened the closet. Inside, receipts, folders, a safe. I entered the code, Colleen's birth year, twice. Click. Inside, more than cash. USB drives, a black notebook, a single piece of jewelry. My high school ring. I hadn't seen it in 15 years. Cut scene. That night, Zoe brought pizza. We sat on the floor, lights off, windows open to the wind. You okay? She asked. Define okay. She laughed. You did it, she said. I didn't just move out, I whispered, staring at the open notebook in my lap. I moved on with everything. The storm had passed, but the house felt colder. Not in temperature, in presence. The kind of cold that lingers after something dead has been dragged away. Zoe stood at the kitchen island, laptop open, a blank expression carved into her face. Did you know your grandmother's trust had a hunger clause? She asked, not looking up. No, I poured stale coffee into a chipped mug. What the hell is that? If the beneficiaries vacate the estate for 72 consecutive hours, and the primary deed holder remains or reclaims, full legal ownership passes indefinitely. No contest. That's why the clock mattered. Zoe nodded. And your mom knew it. Cut scene. The black notebook from the safe lay on the table between us. Thin handwriting. Pages filled with numbers, receipts, locations. Some entries were in shorthand I didn't recognize. Some were names, alias-like. Two stood out, Harper Jade and E. Watts. Zoe pointed. They used your alias. Eleanor Watts. My voice cracked. That's what I used to lease this apartment. They knew. Not just following me, tracking me, anticipating my next move before I made it. People don't hide under aliases unless they're already hiding from something worse, Zoe murmured. That night, I heard the click again. The back window. I crept through the hall, barefoot, holding a knife like I'd ever used one for more than slicing onions. Silence. Then a shuffle. I flicked on the backyard floodlight. Empty, except the patio door ajar. I stepped outside. Wet concrete. Smell of iron. At the bottom of the stairs, a dead sparrow. No blood, just broken. Its neck twisted, feathers splayed. I didn't scream. I just closed the door, locked it, 3 times. Some people send messages with words. My family uses corpses. Morning came slow and red-eyed. I called the utility company, asked if anyone had requested access to the electrical lines. A pause. Yes, the woman said. Mrs. Colleen Duval said she was the homeowner. I'm the homeowner. I'm sorry. Her ID matched county records. Twist. They were trying to take the house back. Through utilities. Cut scene. 2 hours later, Zoe got a hit. The name Harper Jade used to register a short-term LLC in Miami, funded through a crypto shell, owned for less than 60 days. What's the LLC name? Hunger's Foundation. My stomach twisted. They're laundering through my grandmother's claws. Zoe clicked deeper. It gets better. Guess who the managing partner is? I didn't breathe. Evelyn Duval. Cut scene. We drove straight to the bank. Savannah National. Tall glass. Cold smiles. Inside, I requested my asset access report. The manager hesitated. then handed it over. Page 2, there it was. A withdrawal flagged from my trust. 10,000. Sent to an account listed under H.Jade Properties. I looked at Zoe. They're funneling funds out before the transfer cements. They think they still have 48 hours. They don't. I turned to the manager. I want to freeze all outgoing transactions immediately, and I want to press fraud charges on any account I haven't authorized. Ma'am, that's a family trust. Exactly, and I'm the last person in this family who knows what the word trust means. Colleen called that night. Unknown number. I answered. You're playing a dangerous game, she said. I learned it from you. This isn't about the house. No, it's about control. A beat. Then her voice lowered. You don't know what you've done. I'm starting to. You think you've won? You haven't even seen the real board yet. Click. I went to the estate at sunrise. It was quiet. Too quiet. I stepped into the study. The curtains were drawn. The desk had been moved. On the floor, an envelope. Inside, photographs. Me, Zoe, Redmont, all taken from afar. A sticky note on the back of one. She was never the enemy. You just weren't the favorite. My throat dried. They were watching everything. Worse, they had help. Who took these? I whispered. Zoe's voice in my ear. Laurel, there's something you need to see. It's Evelyn. My phone buzzed. Incoming transfer. $15,000 withdrawn. Authorized. Evelyn Duval. Verified by facial scan. They're using my image. Deepfake. It's not just theft anymore, Zoe said. It's erasure. They stopped being my family the moment they started hunting me. The hospital hallway smelled like bleach and panic. My footsteps echoed too loud. Floor too clean. Walls too white. A place where truth got buried in paperwork and prescriptions. Zoe walked beside me, silent. No coffee. No sarcasm. Just tension between her eyebrows like she was bracing for a collision. We stopped at the nurse's station. I need to verify something, I said, voice even. The nurse, mid-50s, tired eyes, barely glanced up. Name of the patient. Laurel Duval. She typed. Screen flicked. Her face changed. You're her. Yes. No, I mean, she turned the monitor. A photo appeared. My face. My name. My birthday. But I'd never been admitted. She's in room 305. Twist. Cut scene. I walked that hallway like it might collapse under me. My hand gripped the wall once. Just once. Room 305. Zoe stayed outside. I pushed the door open. A woman sat on the bed. Pale. Thin. Hair tied back. Same bone structure. Same jawline. A bruise under her left eye, fading yellow. She looked up and smiled. You're here. My mouth went dry. I'm sorry, do we know each other? She tilted her head. I'm you. Cut scene. The next 10 minutes burned into my skull. Her name was Leona Walsh, former roommate of Evelyn, used in photo IDs, face scans, doctor forms. I let her use my info to get a job once, Leona whispered. She promised it was just temporary, said you were her sister and needed help getting a promotion. When? 3 years ago. I closed my eyes. That was when the crypto shell fund started moving. Why are you in here? She said I was unstable, told the staff I had episodes. They took my license, my apartment. She said it was for my own protection. Evelyn, put you here? She visits sometimes. Leona smiled sadly, says I should be grateful. Cut scene. Outside the room, I sat on the floor. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. You okay? Zoe asked. No. Good, she said. Means you're not one of them. I laughed, or tried to. Truth is a scalpel, I muttered. Cuts clean, but damn, it stings. Back at the estate, I pulled every financial document I had. Wills, transfers, email chains. A pattern emerged. It wasn't just identity theft. Evelyn had built an alternate Laurel, a shadow copy, credit history, subaccounts, registered in parallel, a twin born from paperwork and deceit. And she'd used Leona's face to validate it all. Cut scene. I called Redmont. I need a forensic audit, I said. Why? I'm not the only Laurel Duval anymore. He didn't ask questions, just said, be in my office at 9. That night I got an email. No sender. No subject. Attachment, a video file. 20 seconds. Zoe and I, standing in front of the bank. 2 days ago. Zoomed. Tracked. Audio distorted but clear enough. She thinks freezing the funds will stop us. Evelyn's voice. Then Colleen's. She doesn't understand. This isn't about money anymore. It's about obedience. Static. Video ends. My heart jackhammered. They weren't just erasing me. They were replacing me. I stood in the mirror, looked at my own face, imagined someone wearing it, saying words I never said, spending money I never touched, smiling in rooms I'd never seen. My reflection didn't blink. Don't you dare flinch, I whispered. You flinch, they win. Cut scene. Next morning, I walked into Redmont's office with Zoe behind me. He slid a folder across the desk. This is from a private investigator I hired without your knowledge. I had a hunch. Inside, photos, receipts, video stills. Evelyn, meeting a man I didn't recognize. Same man from the old notebook, labeled only Munn. Who is he? Lawyer. Specializes in fraud architecture. You mean he builds fake structures? Worse, Redmont said. He makes them legal. Cut scene. We tracked Munn to a gala. Downtown ballroom. Charity front. I wore black. Hair pulled back. No jewelry. Zoe wired me with a mic. He's your ghost, she whispered. Find his footprints. Inside, chandeliers. Wine. Waiters in gloves. I saw Evelyn before she saw me. Backless dress. Red lips. Talking to Munn. Laughing like she owned oxygen. I stepped behind them. Said nothing. She turned. Went pale. You're not invited, she said. No, I smiled. I'm just crashing your fiction. Cut scene. Zoe hit play from the van. Audio feed exploded over the speakers. Evelyn's voice. She doesn't deserve any of it. Laurel's weak. She always was. You erase her and no one notices. Munn. Then you'd better pray her friend didn't record this. Cut to Zoe grinning. Oops. They tried to run. Security stopped them. You're not under arrest, I said. Yet. But you will be. She wasn't protecting Evelyn. She was building an empire, and I was the foundation. The wind hit hard as I stepped onto the rooftop. Savannah glittered below, like it didn't know the kind of people it raised. Colleen stood at the edge. No heels, no pearls, just a black trench coat and a jaw clenched so tight I thought it might crack. You finally came, she said. You finally stopped running. She turned slowly. No makeup, just the face of a woman who built her kingdom out of mirrors and ran out of glass. You destroyed this family, she hissed. No, I said. I revealed it. Cut scene. Inside the penthouse below, Zoe streamed the final files to the authorities. Bank transfers, medical records, surveillance logs, the full scheme. Evelyn laundering through shadow trusts, Colleen orchestrating the fake mental health records, and Munn tying the noose with paper legality. Zoe looked up. We're live in 5. My fingers shook. What if this isn't enough? She stared me down. They stole your name, but they didn't get your voice. Back on the rooftop, Colleen laughed dry. You think anyone's going to believe you? I raised you, cleaned your messes, paid for every inch of your existence. You raised a puppet, I snapped, and you got mad when the string snapped. You were weak. No, I said. I was loyal. Cut scene. The press conference hit local news at 6 p.m. Redmont stood behind the podium, neutral as stone. Zoe watched from the van, hand hovering over the kill switch. Reporters shouted. Then came the playback. Evelyn's voice. She doesn't deserve any of it. Laurel's weak. She always was. Colleen's voice. This isn't about money anymore. It's about obedience. And Mun. We erase her and no one notices. The feed cut. Cut scene. The knock came at 7:03 p.m. 2 FBI agents. Badges up. Straight faces. Colleen Duval, one asked. She didn't speak. She just looked at me. The same look she gave when I got my first F. Or when I didn't clap loud enough for Evelyn's college speech. Like I was still the problem. Not her. Never her. You're under investigation for identity fraud, medical falsification, financial conspiracy, and obstruction of justice. They cuffed her in silence. As she passed, I whispered, You never taught me how to fight. You just gave me reasons to. Cut scene. The estate felt different now. Lighter. Zoe and I sat by the pool. Champagne flutes untouched. Do you think they'll serve time? She asked. Does it matter? She blinked. Yeah, it does. I nodded, then laughed quiet. My mom once said, Legacy isn't what you build. It's what you bury. Zoe raised an eyebrow. You believe that? No, I said. I just think she built hers on a graveyard and forgot which bones were mine. 2 weeks later, I stood in front of a mirror. Same face. No more shadows. The mirror didn't crack. It reflected. I wore the ring they tried to pawn. The necklace they called ugly. The confidence they never earned. Some women burn bridges. I built a new city from the ash. On my desk sat a letter. Handwritten. No return address. Inside check. Blank. And a note. Start over. Just not with us. E. I folded it once. Burned it. Smoke curled like closure. Cut scene. Last thing I did? I went to room 305. Leona sat by the window. Hair longer. Eyes brighter. I heard, she said. You're free, I told her. I didn't think I'd live long enough to hear that. We sat in silence. Then I said, You weren't crazy. They just needed you to look like it. She smiled. You too. Before I left, she said, What now? And I answered without thinking. Now I stop surviving their story and start living mine. They built their legacy on me, but I'm the one who burned it clean.